isn't it a business network?
Yeah, Business Networking International.
International, yeah.
Yeah.
I've never even heard of it, but I went to one this morning and I made the mistake of leaving my water bottle in the car. And they asked me to speak first. I'm like,
which chapter?
Or I have no idea.
Or where was it? Like,
it
which
was
location?
in, so it was off of Independence. You know where Henry's is?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
Henry's area.
Got it.
But it was the first time that they've met there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And you were presenting for Education Without Walls?
I was, yeah. I know,
That's
it's quite
awesome.
a day.
Oh my gosh, today's a big day for you then.
I know. They were, because they are interested in becoming a team leader like you are. So they wanted to know about like how different organizations and businesses can do it.
That's
so I did a little
cool.
spiel.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was cool. But I was without my water. That wasn't
Well,
cool.
I'm not making that mistake. I even got one of the troopers'
The
water
officials.
bottles.
Does
The
it smell a
official.
little backcountry-ish?
It smells just right.
Excellent.
Well, thanks for letting us crash your spot here and set up
Thanks for
and
being here.
get a little feel for what's going on.
Yeah, it's great having you.
Yeah, thank you. So tell us, what is the mission of Education Without Walls, and let's start there.
Okay, so Education Without Walls, so it was founded in 2009, and Zach and I, my husband and I, founded it together with the idea of being able to provide outdoor and adventure education to kids who could otherwise never afford it because it's expensive. And you have to have access to a lot of different things, not only like the backpack and the gear, the car, the skill, the insight. So we were both, and still are, like outdoor fanatics.
Totally.
We both grew up in situations where our parents couldn't send us on that NOLS course or that Outward Bound course. And so we wanted to do something that could get kids out. So we founded it then. I come from a therapeutic background. So I have a master's in marriage and family therapy, and I've always worked with teens that are struggling, the ones that just need a boost. And so we wanted to incorporate the outdoor experience, especially for those kids, and who couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
So, here we are.
That's so cool.
And it's grown tremendously. At first, it was just a backcountry experience. At first, it was just a 21-day trip in Pisgah.
Yep.
With
21 days.
Yeah.
That's pretty intense.
I know.
From like not camping or being outdoors at
Nothing.
all, just like, we're gonna go somewhere for 21 days.
Yep. And we would do a really wonderful curriculum that was kind of the cornerstone to what we do now. But we would incorporate this curriculum into the backcountry experience. The students would have an amazing time. They would feel really confident. They can manage their stuff. They can navigate the hard things. They can communicate well, exhibit their leadership skills. But then when they get home, it would be like chaos in their home. A lot of them were in foster care or moving homes. Their parents are oftentimes like incarcerated or untreated mental health disorders, and drug addiction would just lead them to be not available. So the home life wasn't solid, so the kids were no longer solid, even though they were. And so that was always hard. But we realized we can just provide services year round. So then we started incorporating. It took time to develop it and figure it out, but we did it, and now it's year round programming for these kids. And
oh my gosh.
Now we also serve all kids. We still reserve 24 full scholarships for kids who could not afford it. They're either in foster care or they live below the federal poverty guideline. Those kids could not afford it. But then we also serve other kids too, whose parents, they have something going on also that they need an edge, whether it's like a really medically fragile parent or a sudden loss of a sibling or depression or being bullied. And their parents can afford it, and they are welcome to come and join as well. So we have 24 kids who couldn't. We raised money for them, and then also other teens too, who just need an edge.
What a great mission.
It's awesome. It's the best. And when we work with them throughout the year, so we do these outings with them all throughout the year leading up to the expedition. The expedition now it's 6 days for the juniors and 8 days for the seniors.
Where are you guys going this year? Do we know?
Yes. So
Can we tell? Is it a secret?
The big reveal. So we can. So
Okay.
I don't know the what river, but the juniors, the younger group, the 13 to 15-year-olds are going backpacking in Pisgah and then paddling down maybe the James River.
Awesome.
And that's a really good segue for them to just have a 6-day wilderness experience, but it's not all like heavy lifting.
Right.
Because
Right.
everyone loves to paddle.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
floating.
exactly.
And then the seniors are going to go backpacking and rock climbing.
How
It's
cool.
a little bit more just grittier.
And what's the age group for the juniors and the seniors?
Okay, so the juniors, I will say that the name just changed this year. It used to be the little kids and the big kids. But so we have mentors.
I like that. Is that not politically correct? Or
Exactly.
like-
So my mentors are all university students. They're all advocates who work with our teens. And they were like, Celine, that's just not cool. And I'm like, I mean, I can see that.
Yeah, I can see it.
Fine. And I was like, okay, fine, juniors and seniors. And like, that was so easy, Celine. See? I'm like, fine.
Yeah.
So the juniors are 13 to 15 and the seniors are 16 to 18.
Awesome.
And it's great. And then we have 2 seniors every year that are hired as LITs, leaders in trainings, and they actually work with the juniors and they get paid a stipend. So they're in the backcountry with the little the juniors.
Amazing.
And they are, I mean, really experienced outdoors people at this point because they've been through our program so much they can do it all. So they're like a young outdoor educator in the making.
So how do you have students that have done this like multiple years in a row?
Multiple. Yeah, that's typical. That's more like more times than not, students will come back year after year, and then their siblings will join,
That's great.
and it's cool. Yeah, we know kids for like 4 or 5 years.
That's it.
We have our LIT this year is an 18-year-old, and she's like, so I know I age out at 18, like, but, and she's doing this thing where she's extending her high school career so that she can get her like undergrad. She's really smart. And she's like, but I'm still going to be in high school. And I was like, you can come back. It's fine. You're in.
So it's an ongoing curriculum throughout the year, and it kind of like culminates with the outdoor adventure.
Yeah, the summer expedition, right? So the program year starts in August. It kind of lines up with the school year, but we like to get up with them before school starts because that first month of school starting is like really chaotic for the kids and the
I can
families.
only imagine, yeah.
So we try to get in with them beforehand. We have our students sign up, register. We link them to their advocates. They start having their sessions, a couple sessions, and then in September we have our first outing of the program year, which is an orientation. We call it a day in the park because it literally is just a day in the park.
Hanging out,
Yeah,
getting to know each
it's
other.
the best.
Yeah.
One of my like I have so many little funny like priorities with Education Without Walls and the service we provide for our students, but one of them, a major tenet, is these students have a lot of drama in their life and a lot of negativity, and like they just deserve a day in the park.
Yep.
The phrase is just perfect.
Just a day in the
so we're
park.
just having a day in the park.
I love it.
And it's awesome. It's an orientation where they get to meet each other, see each other again, learn what outings are going to happen this year because it's always different every year. There's a great giving group called the Island Men, and they cook out for the kids every year. A huge grill, like hamburgers, hot dogs. Like the kids are like double fisting, triple fisting the deliciousness. Soda,
It's awesome.
potato chips. I mean, it's all really good. So name games and then just fun games, and then orienting them to their new advocates, the new group, the new year. And then we do something like in early winter. That's typically just building upon that, and we call it Trust Building Day.
Yep.
And it's just all team games, team activities. So we do things like we'll do frisbee golf in Carolina Beach or in Curry Beach, but we'll have a twist on it where it's teams together working to get a certain point system rather than individual. And we'll do things like capture the flag. We'll go to the beach and have beach games, but it's all team oriented so that they're learning and building and their rapport and trust is getting established. Because going into the backcountry is scary. It's a lot. I mean, it's a big deal. So we want them to just feel so solid and so strong and secure and informed in what's going on. Then the next outing is Intro to Backpacking. We always do that, and we always do it over spring break. And it's just a 3-day, very simple backpacking trip. And the kids who have done it before, the students who have done it before, it's just like a trip down memory lane for them. But it gives the new students a chance to feel like they have what it takes.
Yeah.
You know, to go
Build up a little bit of confidence and also for safety and stuff, like so they kind of know what they're getting into.
Yeah. We teach them a whole lesson. It's called the first 48. It's a whole series of lessons, what to do in the backcountry the first 48 hours, like things you just need to know,
Right.
like filtering water,
Yeah.
setting up a tent, sleeping warm,
Yeah.
how to pack a pack. And so we go through all of that. It's the big shakedown for the intro to backpacking.
That's so cool.
It's cool, and they have a journal. I wish could. They have a field journal, and they're taking notes. It's very much like these educational lessons. It's education without walls. They're sitting in a circle, and the instructor's teaching didactically, and the kids are taking notes, and then they also present on the information themselves.
Yep.
The kids will have a chance to be a leader and present the information back. That's cool.
So how many students will you have? Well, so when you started, like how many students were in your first year, and then how many students do you think you'll have in the 25? Hey, buddy, the 25.
So like
year?
so we went through. I think everybody took a pause in 2021, like a self-assessment and like almost like a rebuild, a refuel, and education at Wallace had to as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to serve 24 students. That was pretty much we always did 2 groups of 12.
Got it.
And then in 2022, I believe, we were like, we being me, because it was just me.
Yeah.
Since 2018, it's been just me. And I was like, I can only serve 12.
Mm-hmm.
And my board of directors like, it's fine, Celine. We're just going to serve 12.
Yeah, it's okay.
They're like, it's fine. As long as we just keep doing this, we're good.
Yeah.
And so it was great because for me, it's what needed to happen. We didn't have to push so hard on the fundraising, the programming piece in terms of recruitment of new students and the training of the advocates and all that. It was just like, we have 12 students, and most of them are all returning. So it was a very easy year for me, but it's what I needed
to regroup.
Yeah. And come up with a plan. And the plan is in action, and it's been great. And so we doubled our enrollment last year from 12 to 24. It was amazing because the community did it. Like the Big 24 is a fundraiser that the teams are individuals and organizations in our community that are like, we want 24 kids to be a part of this.
Yeah.
And different leaders are saying, I will pledge to sponsor one of these 24 kids that really need it. And it's amazing because it's like, literally could not do it without them.
Mm-hmm.
And going from 12 to 24 was like, I don't know. That's a lot.
It's like take your business and say, hey guys, next year we're going to double.
Yeah.
Like when you put it in that perspective, like, yeah, we're doubling a business. That's it's a lot.
It was
a lot to take
and it
care
changed
of.
so much. I mean, in terms of like tax bracket and expectations with the IRS and like a lot of things. And I knew it as soon as we shifted up from that to that. It was like, you have to be ready, Celine.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, and I am, and it's been great. What we did also was my board and some really loyal and amazing donors. I did a poll, and I was like, initially it was just $2,000 per student for a full year of programming. It's bare bones. There's no overhead.
Yeah.
No salaried employees. NCOAE in-kind donates all of our extra, all of our building, our operating costs. And so we were always able to scrape by on $2,000 per kid. But I was like, if we want to create a sustainable model, it needs to be more than just me.
Yeah.
Like A, other people need to carry on the legacy, and B, like other people do things better than me. Like I want to build a team that can do it better than me.
That's right.
The kids deserve it, the students deserve it, the families deserve it. So the donors and the board were like, yeah, let's bump it up to $3,000 for a scholarship per student per year. It's still an amazing opportunity for them for pretty low cost, where they're still going on all these outings, 5 outings throughout the year. We stopped at the intro. There's intro to backpacking, and then there's an overnight camping trip where they go surfing one day, camp out, and then go dragon boat racing the next day in the intercoastal.
Awesome.
And then they go on their summer expedition. So they do all that. And let's increase it so we can get some employees.
Yeah.
So we can hire some help.
Yep.
So we did it. So not only did we double the enrollment, but we also increased the
organization.
Increased like the scholarship amount so that we can hire people.
Oh, got it.
Yeah,
Yep.
we did it. And the community was like, yeah, absolutely. Like, you can't do that alone. And we want this to continue, so let's do it. And so I was able to hire a lead advocate. So the other part, besides all of this amazing stuff in the backcountry experience, which is what brought me here, the year-round stuff, I can't do that alone. And there are young professionals who I link each kid with to meet with every week throughout the school year. And so young professionals going to school for social work or education will meet with the teens and help them identify their personal and academic goals, and then B, help them get there.
And so there's like a continued coaching aspect to it's amazing.
It's amazing.
And you've developed this whole curriculum, just over yourself over the years.
Yeah. And it's like every year we just reflect on what worked, what didn't work, where do we need to tweak and enhance, and getting there, it's really exciting. It feels like it's like a big puzzle.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful puzzle sitting on my coffee table. And like every so often I'm like, man, I can't figure this out. And then I'm like, oh, this is the piece. And I put it in there and I'm like, sweet, and then that little section is filled in and it's just so satisfying.
Yeah.
It's been great.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so the advocates are amazing. And so the teens get linked to advocates and they work with them all throughout the school year. And it's like a lot of the kids whose parents aren't really available to help them with like organizing your binder, how to talk to your teacher, interviewing for your first job, writing a resume. It's so simple, and it's just so cool to have that, to give these kids that edge that like, kids need, really.
No,
So,
and I mean, especially in today's world, and like some of the, the kids that have been through this time period of COVID and schools being shut down and like such a like awkward time and to be an adolescent. Like I was, when I was in, middle school, like I was awkward as it was, you know, and I couldn't imagine having to deal with all this. And then you get just like the whole aspect of technology, and like you just lose so much like interaction of like people to people skills and like let's be humans together.
Yeah.
And then that gets exacerbated by having a challenging home life or whatever else, and it's like and then you guys take them in and kind of help build them up and build some skills and some confidence to be like, hey, if I can like go backpacking for 6 days, then maybe I can put this resume together and go get it, and go work on a job or something like that,
Yeah, it's great. And like you're saying, like that isolation that a lot of people feel these days, the students, like, I think it kind of, like when we first get together and we're like sitting in a group at a day in the park, and we're like doing names, I mean, I could just like, for the first time students, they're just like, this is really weird, but I kind of like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're just like, that's wild. When we're in the backcountry, we do a thing called Summit, where it's a daily practice of reflection of the day. And there's a prompt, and only one person speaks at a time. So you're practicing these listening skills, and you feel really connected to each other. You feel heard, maybe for the first time for these students, because in school, it's just, so many kids, so many teachers, so many bells, whistles, a lot of things. And the Summit and these experiences where we put kids in a circle and are just like eye contact and conversation, it seems like such a, it's like breathing air, but it's like a commodity. And they really feel it. They love it. Some kids, after their first Summit experience, whatever it is, and then I see them the next time they're getting dropped off for the next outing, they're like, Miss Celine, are we going to do Summit?
Yeah.
It's like the first thing they say to me. They just want to like connect.
That's so cool. They're just like longing for that connection. And wow.
Yeah, it's really great.
That's got to make you feel good too.
It's
It's
awesome.
like, hey, can we? Yeah.
I love it. I'm like, oh, they like it. They like it. And yes, we are doing Summit.
So I've been fortunate in my life. When we grew up, I got to like, we lived in Northern California. So I learned, went camping in Tahoe and Yosemite and got to go skiing and, all this stuff.
Oh, it's insane.
And so I've always had the understanding and the importance of like connecting with nature, and just how going and doing activities like that is just like, I don't even know how to explain how impactful it is. I want to hear from your perspective, like why does these types of activities where you go into nature and why is that so impactful for humans, and why does that create just like a sense of I don't know. Yeah.
Right.
Why is it so
Interesting.
impactful?
I mean, it's a great question, and it's philosophical. I think it's a philosophical question. There's no science quite yet behind it. There is a course of study, and it's called eco-psychology. So I did my undergrad degree in the therapeutic uses of the wilderness experience, and then my master.
That is so cool.
I know. My mother was like, "You're doing what?"
You're doing what? Look at me now, Mom.
I know, it worked. It worked. I know. The therapeutic uses of the wilderness experiences was like, but when I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, that is all I am. Yes. And in that course of study for me for those 4 years, one of the courses I took was called eco-psychology, and it's just like a subset of it, but the concept is that the earth and humans are like psychologically and ecologically intertwined because of generations of living together. And the more that we separate from the earth, the more that we're separated by and the natural cycles and weather and animals and plant life, because concrete and doors and cars and garages and buildings and elevators, the more the earth gets harmed and is hurting and is getting injured and polluted, and also the more the human psyche is getting sicker and more ill and hurting, and
I could see that every day.
Polluted.
The human psyche getting
worse,
sicker and worse. And,
And so it's like when we lose connection with the natural cycles, and we lose that connection with natural cycles, then we tend to care less about the earth too. And so then the earth and like the rivers and the air and the also get more and more like poisoned, because there's less of a connection, less of a caring there. And then and then it's just like this terrible, it just keeps getting pushed further and further away. And then we're getting sicker, and then so that, and then there is that feeling of when you do connect with the natural elements, there is a sense of feeling like coming home, and a sense of the nervous system slows down and thoughts are clearer and the heart stops racing, and it's all very therapeutic just by that happening. And people can think clearer, make better decisions, are more honest with themselves about what needs to happen in order for them to do something that is true for them, rather than making a decision out of like feeling rushed or pushed or in the rat race of the day.
And I mean, just putting like life in perspective, like when you're out in the middle of nowhere and there's like a 150-foot waterfall that you're looking at, you're like kind of changes your perspective on on how everything works. Or like for me, I love going surfing when the waves are really big, because it's just like the aspect of just getting humbled. It's like you take a big wave on the head or duck dive a big wave and make through, and it's just like this feeling of like, whoa, I made it.
Definitely. We feel like we're invincible sometimes in our man-made world. And then we get a reality check that we're actually in the spectrum of all of it. And a little bit more grateful and a little bit more humble. And then there's also just like there's this whole concept, we incorporate a curriculum when we're in the backcountry with the students, but there is something that's like an outdoor programming concept that's called Let the Mountains Speak for Themselves. Because there is just that experience, just like hiking and putting on miles and setting up your tent and being in the rain and then tending to your needs and getting warm, and there's this whole cycle of feeling really empowered as a human, like really capable. Sometimes I feel like we're like, babying ourselves so much with all that's around us, and then we start to feel like we are not worthy. But then when you go out and you're doing hard things, you're like, I am worthy. I got this.
It's some adversity in your life is good, and then it's like, it just, the struggles that you have in your everyday life with like, oh, I'm not getting along with a coworker, or like, I'm pissed at my friend or whatever. It's like, it just makes that all just seem so less important.
Yes.
I mean, but again, like back to like the population of folks that, you guys are really focusing on supporting are people that have, you know, legit issues,
Yes.
right? It's not like,
yeah.
and so, you know, what are some of the, you know, like at the end of a semester or at the end of a year, you know, what are some of the kids, you know, what is their feedback on, you know, how it's helped them cope, or what are, you know, like skills that they've learned and how it's like helping them deal with their situations, would you say?
You know, I am recently, a part of our development of Education Without Walls is now to do more surveys and assess specifically for that, like get their direct feedback, like what, where, and why. So I'm starting to do surveys with them the beginning of the program year, middle of program year, and end of program year to capture some of that.
Very cool, yeah.
And in the beginning of program year, I created a spot for them to just say, like, why Education Without Walls? Like, what are you hoping to get out of it? And some of their responses are so sincere and so sweet and just so simple. I want to meet new friends. I want to learn something new. I want to try something new. And so if we fast forward it to the end of the year, it's probably going to be, I met new friends, I learned something new, and I tried something new. You know, I mean, we do have like specific goals that we're working on, which is to increase their esteem, their self-actualization. We want the students to be able to know themselves well enough to make decisions that are congruent with what is good for them. And so the self-actualization piece, confidence, decision making, those are all things that we're focused on with them. So I'm hoping they'll say, I learned better decision making and my esteem has increased, and I know myself better than I did when I started. I've never specifically asked, but I just know they keep coming back, so something gets happening. I know a lot of it's the social group too. I mean, they just feel they're so cute after, like, they come together and they go on these outings together, and graduation is just the best because they're just so bonded and so tight, and they all stay in touch with each other on they create a group chat, and they can't wait till the next outing. It's never soon enough, you know? I think a lot of it's that.
Yeah.
I think it's all of it. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just like sitting here like trying to digest all of this, but like there are just so many different skills and things that happen that they learn during your curriculum. I mean, it's incredible, from leadership to planning to safety to, you know, just general personal well-being and self-actualization.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's really exciting. It's so cool. And we have, you know, we used to serve 12-year-olds, but one of the things was like, we are trying to hit on these higher executive functions where we really want the students to have this impact in these areas. And the 12-year-olds were just like, like
not really there yet.
Nuh-uh. So we jumped it up to 13, and even those 13 and 14 are still a little young for like that deep learning, but they're getting there. And we've had students where they've been with us and they have a really lot of childhood trauma, and their advocate 3 years in a row was just like, so-and-so is still just like not talking, you know, she'll do her homework with her, and, you know, but that's about it, but nothing else. And then the younger students, a lot of that, it's just like they're there because it's fun and get out of the house and they feel safe with us, so that's cool, but like nothing really more, but it sinks in. And this one student that I was talking about, it's like she started talking.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was 3 years. She started talking, and it was amazing. And she was a student that should have been in foster care this whole time, but somehow it was always able, her family was always able to find someone to hold on to her and keep her housed without being, you know, she never had put in the system officially, but she needed to be. But anyway, but it worked. It worked. And she started talking, and it was amazing. After all that time, everything, all the years of programming, it sunk in. And she acknowledged that it's time for her to go see a counselor. And we got her into the trauma-informed therapy at Carousel Center. And, you know, it's just like, it takes time sometimes, but they get there.
Yeah.
It's cool.
I mean, just watching that transformation must be just so rewarding.
Yeah, it's great.
Where do most of the students come from? Is it like New Hanover, Southeastern North Carolina?
Right now, New Hanover, Pender, and Brunswick. But most of them are New Hanover County.
Okay.
But we serve everybody. It's all the students in those three areas. It's hard because the advocates, in order to do the weekly sessions, if they're it has to be somewhat close.
Right.
Right.
Right. Exactly.
Sometimes.
Are they in-person sessions?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Absolutely.
It of course leaves it to me to just assume it's a Zoom
no,
call.
No. We way prioritize
That's
in person.
awesome.
Definitely. Sometimes it'll
Very
be.
cool.
That's a nice option, but no, the students. No, and we meet the students wherever it's best for them. So
Meet them where they're at.
Meet them where they're at. Totally student-centered. So sometimes it's a public park and playing basketball or nature hikes. Sometimes it's here on our campus. Sometimes it's in their home. Sometimes it's at the library downtown. It's totally dependent. Sometimes the homes aren't conducive for like good study sessions or just like the process. So then we pick up other places. And it's awesome. It's really great because they get to do things like if the kids are like into video games, which we know everyone is, that's a great way to just like break in the session. Like, okay, let's do just 10 minutes of Madden and then let's get to this homework,
Yeah.
So it's fun.
Exactly.
It's on their level. It's great. And so with that, we are limited because our budget is limited. We are so careful with how we spend the donors' funds. So it's like we can spend a lot of money in gas if we were driving all the way. So we do keep it like a smaller catchment area for that reason.
Yeah.
But sometimes parents will say, we'll just meet you halfway, and they'll drive in, and then we'll meet downtown and things like that.
That's cool. Have you guys ever, do you get any grant money or any other type of funding?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
When I hit the great burnout in 21, I stopped writing grants and I refused to write grants. And I'm like, I'm not writing grants anymore.
It's a lot of work.
It is.
Oh my gosh.
And New Hanover County has so many great services that are grant funded. I mean, there is a lot of competition in this area. And because we were only serving 24 students a year, we're not serving 300 students a day like some other nonprofits, like an after-school program where kids are
like communities and schools or something like that.
Boys and Girls Brigade, Dreams of Wilmington. They have these huge facilities. They do amazing work. They serve a lot of kids every day.
Yeah.
I'm asking for the same amount of money for 24 kids,
Yeah.
do you know?
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit harder of an ask. And people want to see the numbers, and we were just like, we just have high impact, not like high numbers.
Well, as your organization grows, now I think like the data side of it that you talked about, like now we're going to do, beginning, middle, and after. And then when you can start bringing data to the table, but you need you can't do all that yourself, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. And that is going to be good. But when I did hire help, one of my first hires was the lead advocate. I started talking about that was a lead advocate. Okay, I got to tell you the story because it is so cool.
Okay.
So we have advocates that work with the kids, the teens in person, and they work with the teens on their personal academic goals, wherever they want to be. And I usually supervise those advocates. So every week we do group supervision. The advocates come in, they give me updates about the students, the families, their needs. We do an assessment, we do some interventions, we talk about what they should do next week, and they're off. And then throughout the week I'm getting phone calls about updates and what's happening, and I'm filling out evaluations for them because they're going to school for interns and internships. And I hired a lead advocate to do all of that.
Yeah.
And her name is Emily, and she was my very first advocate in 2015.
No way.
Isn't that insane?
That is
and
so
now she's
cool.
a licensed social worker. She has a private practice, and she dedicates one day a week to EWOW. And so she was my first paid employee.
Amazing.
Isn't that so cool?
That is
and now
so
she
cool.
oversees all the advocates.
Oh my gosh.
And I love Emily because she frees up so
great
much of my
story.
time. And I hear her, and like I said, people are better at things than I am, and Emily is better at that than I am.
Oh.
She is so good with those advocates, with those UNCW, with the college students.
Yep.
And she probably has more time, more patience. She's so good. So it's awesome. So then I also hired a fundraising coordinator, and the fundraising coordinator was my second hire, who was helping with the fundraising. It's
Nice.
a lot.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, what you're talking about is just the similarity with any for-profit business, any organization, is that, the leader is only as good, can only be as good as the team that,
Absolutely.
right? And you only have so much time in the day. And yes, I'm sure you'd be like an awesome, lead support.
Lead advocate. Yeah.
A lead advocate. Like I'm sure you'd be awesome at it.
Yeah.
But the ROI on your time is much more valuable, is much higher.
Yeah.
Focusing on the vision and the mission and,
Yes.
building the organization, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's great. And I still work with Emily closely. I mean, I am in the office when they're doing their supervision. And I just know it's just the right move. It's just she needs to be doing it now. She's so good, but then she'll check in with me about certain things. And it's great. Now I get to support her and she supports them. It really is pretty awesome. It's great. And it's cool. It's like, it's interesting. I've realized, like, as a mentorship program for the teens, for the longest time, I was always also mentoring the advocates, the young professionals that were just starting into the field of helping profession, which I was in for so long as a therapist and whatnot. And it was like, we had this like trickle down of like mentorship going on. And it was like, oh man, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Because I really take it seriously, working with the advocates and helping them develop their professional skills is just really just as satisfying. So, and it's cool now that Emily, who's a little bit younger than me, who's a little bit more just in touch with what a young professional is dealing with, it's just great because you can just give them more of that edge. It's cool. And I was going to say, the fundraising coordinator encouraged me to write grants again after the great burnout. So she said, let's write grants. And I was like, I don't want to write grants. And she's like, let's write grants. So I started writing grants again. And local foundations like Landfall Foundation and Eshelman Foundation both sponsored 2 kids last year.
Amazing.
So 4 kids came out of grants last year, and it's just, so thank you, fundraising coordinator.
Yeah. That makes the time spent feel a little bit more, bit better.
It's great. Yeah, and I think there's a change lately where people are realizing, the quality versus the quantity. It's not the quantity of kids that we're serving, but it's the quality. I mean, they get so much one-on-one care with us for so long, a full year, that I think there's been a shift in thinking about that, where usually it's like old grants used to be how many kids, how many hours served, like how many kids, and it's like now it just is like a little bit, seems like it's a little bit more receptive to the fact that it's higher quality than necessarily lots of them. So that feels good.
So we're coming up on your big fundraiser for the year, right?
You almost said it. The Big 24.
The Big 24.
Yeah, and I like to do it when I'm texting or emailing people about it. Big is capitalized. Which I'm not a capitalized person. Like, I'm not that person. But I am when it's the Big 24.
Tell us about that.
Okay, so the Big 24 is our annual fundraiser where we serve 24 kids a year who could not otherwise afford it, and 24 individuals or organizations will pledge to raise the money for those kids. So each team is going to try in the month of March. It's kind of a race, a very clear beginning and end, and to raise the $3,000 needed to sponsor a student. And the teams all get together. We're getting together next week at the Tropical for the kickoff. We're going to hand out all the media and the merchandise, and the team leaders are all getting a special I just gave it away, a little gift, which I'm really excited about because I just came up with that idea today, so I'm thrilled about that.
Awesome.
And then the kickoff is March 1st, and Capone and Associates is going to be one of our newest members of the Big 24 team leaders. I'm really stoked. It's going to be awesome having you guys. And so we see, and then during the month of March, everyone is doing what they can to raise that money for their student that they're trying to sponsor, and then we have a party at the end to celebrate in April the victory of 24 kids going through EWOW again.
That's so cool.
And you know what's cool is that I'm trying, like, the kids in our group, like, they feel so connected, and I'm hoping to create a community with our donors too.
I think,
like, you know what I mean? Like, if we could do that also with our supporters, and like it'd be just a more richer experience. Like, it's not just like, hey, it's like we're part of something together, which we truly are. Like, we are really making a direct impact together. And so I'm hoping that happens.
And year over year it becomes more organic and less of a, hey, donate to this cause. It's like, hey, no, we've got a group of people that have been dedicated to this for years, and we can see the positive benefit and the impact that it provides. And that's cool.
And it's cool. All the teams will have they have a live, if you say, so Safe Component Associates did a crowdfunding thing, you'll have your own Zephy page that will show your thermometer reaching your $3,000 goal.
Awesome.
And you'll have a QR code, a custom made QR code media that you'll be able to share in person. Like, when people come to your office, you can have it up in your office, a poster, It's customized with you, but you need to give us your logo.
I sent it to Candace today.
Today? Because
Yeah.
I talked to Candace earlier today and she hadn't gotten it yet.
I sent it like an hour before I came.
Okay,
I was
good.
I was like prepping for this, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
Because they're cool. I mean, the flyers are really cool that you
Yeah.
can hang up in your space if you want. They look really nice.
Yeah.
And then the restaurants and bars that are team leaders, they'll have tabletops set up. So like Wrightsville Beach Brewery, the Tropical Island Beverage, like they'll have tabletops set up. So if you're sitting at their place, you can just scan it and then donate to them. But we're not going to talk about those places of business. We're going to talk about your place of business.
Yeah, perfect. What are some of the if you can share some of the, I don't want to say schemes, but some of the tactics?
Yeah, there are a few.
What are some of the ones you've seen be very successful?
Okay, so well, there's the obvious one, like 10% of sales.
Yep.
But that doesn't really work for you. Well, I'm not gonna. Yeah.
It could.
Yeah, it could. That's right. It could. Then there is hosting a dinner party, and you host a dinner party. This is more for people because there's individuals that do it too, not just businesses.
Right.
So if individuals are, pledging, which you're not obligated to it either. Everyone tries, and some people fall short of it, and that's okay too because together we get there. It's fine. But so some individuals will be like, I'm going to try to do it, and they'll host a dinner party, and they'll have their friends, pay for the dinner party, and that is their donations towards their team, which is really cool.
That is cool.
Someone else is doing this year, what I heard her saying, but I'll find out for sure on Tuesday when we see everybody at the Tropical, is she's going to do a swim thing where every lap that she swims, she's going to have people pledge to donate to her team.
Love it.
The UNCW, so the advocates are getting together and they're doing a team and they're creating their own logo t-shirt and they're going to be selling that t-shirt.
Nice.
And apparently there's some kind of online store that does that. Have you heard of it?
I haven't.
There's like a store where you can design your own logo and somehow
and they'll take care of everything basically,
everything.
and you just get your funds in the account or something like that.
So people get really creative. It's really fun.
Awesome.
I know NCOAE, they sell t-shirts. They sell their NCOAE t-shirts to all their students. They pay for all the costs up front, and then every time a student buys a t-shirt, it goes to a scholarship.
My wheels are spinning now.
Yeah.
Trying to thinking about something cool.
Somebody else had last year or 2 years ago, they had a backyard party in their neighborhood, and it was like a really close knit group of people, and they just hosted like beer and wine for like an hour. And just were like, and it was two of them in the same neighborhood, and they did it that way.
Love it.
And then other people, like their place of business, like corporations will like match. So they'll do a really, really generous donation of say 1,000, and then their corporation will match it, and then it's 2,000, like right there.
Right, exactly.
That's amazing.
Who's the? What's the fastest $3,000 has been raised? Without, someone just writing one check.
It's so much fun that you're saying this because it's really exciting.
I'm like, starting to get competitive
really
about
fun.
this.
No, it's really cool. And there's all these like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that one to do that good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's like the dark horse out of the shadows. You're like, damn, she's pulling ahead. She's crushing everyone, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, like serious, like really, it's fun to watch. Okay, so I will say, so there's so many different stories. Our very first time that we did the Big 24, our board members joined, and they were all took on a team.
Yep.
And one of them, for the teacher salary, we'll just leave it at that, teacher salary, you know. And he did his all online, like all just like through Facebook. And at that time we were using Facebook's fundraising platform and not Zeffy's. And what was cool about his is he raised it, and it was like $10 and $20
increments
from friends.
Amazing.
Just from all his friends were like, yeah, man, here's $10, here's $20, and it was raised. That's when it was $2,000, but still, I was just like, and his list of donors, I was like, oh yeah, there's so many people to thank. There's so many people to thank. So many of them for him. It was really cool to see that. That was awesome. And then Live Oak Bank last year was a a sponsor, and they did a matching thing too. And so one day, there was a really cool story. There is a woman who runs you've heard about their dining hall, right?
Yes,
I've
had the opportunity to go a couple times.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And we talk about it. It's like talk of our Wilmington town. And she runs the show there, and she got caught wind of what we were doing and the opportunity there. And so she was like, you need to come to the dining hall during these hours and just show up with you and get the word out, because it was like,
oh, cool.
She could see that Live Oak wasn't getting anywhere.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right. So I rolled up in there and I set up my tabletop and my board and my QR code for Live Oak, and people were, what is this? And they're like, oh, what is this? Okay.
Yep.
Like, the folks there, as soon as they heard about what they were doing, they were so like wowed, and it was really touching, because it was within that day we reached our goal for them, and Live Oak did a matching thing up to $5,000, so they exceeded one sponsorship and went towards a second sponsorship, really almost 2 full kids.
Amazing.
And everybody that was there was just needing to know about it. Oh, you do this here in Wilmington? You know, that style. It's like, yeah.
I bet so many people, like, you know, Live Oak Big, for example, they're like, man, I wish when I was a kid I could have, you know, had a course like this or had an experience like this.
I know. And I love talking with people who, like, they'll have a personal experience themselves. Like, I was in foster care.
Wow.
You know, and they're doing amazing now, and they're like, this is really amazing.
Yeah.
You know, or, you know, I was in Boy Scouts and it saved me, you know, whatever it is, whatever the story, and they hear this and they're like, so cool that you're offering this to kids in our area. It's really,
yeah. So what's the 5 or 10 year vision for Education Without Walls? What's the big vision?
Okay, so since the rebirth, since the Phoenix, the rising of the ashes in 2022.
That's awesome.
It's true, man. It is here. Like, I am here. It's so cool, because for so long, it's just like you hit walls, you know?
Yeah.
And it's hard, and because you know it's just not right. Something's not right. And I wasn't able to give it up. I did not want to give it up. But I just knew that when it's time for me to go, like, really, like, it needs to continue without me in a really good way. So now, like, this little business mindset of mine is really excited. Like, I'm thrilled just as much as I am about serving these kids, about building Education Without Walls so it's sustainable, so it's high impact, and just profound. And it's been really fun for me to just focus on those areas, to just figure out what do I need to do, who do I need to hire, how can I get money to hire them, so that this can go on and on and on. You know, back in the day when I hit the wall, I was like, okay, I'm just going to hire another ED. Like, I'm going to hire another ED.
Right.
But the thing is that I, as an ED, never made any money.
Yeah, it's like I got to pay this person now. This doesn't work.
It was all volunteer based.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like my side hustle, you know?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, that's not going to work. But I really thought, I'm like so optimistic. I'm like, somebody wants to do it.
Yeah.
I'm like, no one wants to do it. So it's like I have to build a salary for this position, you know? And it's cool, though. It's fun, and I think I can. And I think that the next version of me will have a salary, and they'll be fantastic, and I think it will continue. So that's what I want to do. I want to grow it. I want to have a capacity expansion experience. I want to be able to serve more students. And I did apply for a grant through the endowment, and we don't know yet if Education Without Walls got it or not, but it got me thinking about capacity building in a really specific way, like super granular, like steps towards building the revenue. Because it's so weird to think about nonprofits. You don't ever think about revenue because you don't own it. I don't own it,
right.
But we need revenue in order to do the other things that we want to do, which is not be like hand to mouth, you know? Mm-hmm. I need to build it so that it's sustainable. And it was just awesome. I spent so much time coming up with a really awesome strategic plan. Mm-hmm. That includes open enrollment. So other kids who are having hardships in their lives, like I was saying, like maybe a really medically fragile parent, or a sudden death of a sibling, or bullying, or depression, or you know, on the spectrum. Yeah. And those kids need something like this too, but their families are like, I'm happy to pay for it. Like, I can pay for this service for my child. Like, I want my child to be a part of this. They need an edge too.
Right.
I can pay for it though. Mm-hmm. And so by opening that up, which is brand new, we have never done that. And it's really exciting. And I get calls from parents, and they are so thrilled that we have opened it up so their child can be with us now too. And it's awesome.
So cool.
And it's sustainable for EWOW. It's like they're going to be paying for the ED. You
Exactly.
know?
Exactly. That's probably one of the, I like to ask that question to everyone I talk to and all of my clients. And I think that was one of the coolest answers I've gotten is I want to build a legacy.
Yeah,
and,
I do.
And have
an
organization that goes on.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I hope this podcast helps put some more, shine some more light on all the incredible work that you're doing and the impact you're making on our community and all these, lucky kids to have you. So,
thanks.
Yeah, it was awesome. Thanks, Celine.